Algebra 1, 5.3, we're going to put the combination of both of the last two lessons together, and we are going to solve multi-step. So yes, you're going to have to add, subtract first, generally, and then multiply or divide. So it's just like a multi-step equations. You multiply or divide by negative, make sure you flip your inequality symbol. So we're kind of putting all of it together. So the first problem, what we want to do is we want to get W here by itself. And so to do that, remember you have to reverse everything. And so just like if I wanted to check an answer, so this is how I figure out which one to do first. If I check a problem and I say, hey, what if W is equal to 5? Is 5 a solution to this inequality? I would have to do 5 times negative 2, and then I'm going to add 10, because this is a 10, right? Add positive 10 to check. So to solve equations or inequalities, I go in the absolute opposite way. So the first thing I really need to do is I need to get rid of the 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. 23 minus 10 is 13, is greater than or equal to, because remember adding, subtracting, I don't change inequality symbols, negative 2w, because the 10s cancel out. Now I have to divide by negative 2, and if I divide by negative 2, the inequality symbol will change, so I'll do that right away. This becomes w because negative 2 divided by negative 2. And then I get 13 over negative 2. Well, here's the thing. 13 is a prime number. I'm going to leave it as 13 over 2. Now, if you really absolutely needed to say, hey, what is that as a decimal? Well, you think about it, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So therefore, it's negative 6.5 is less than or equal to w. So make sure you know how to put that in set notation. So it's w such that, flip the whole thing around, w is greater than or equal to negative 6.5, or leave it as negative 13 over 2. And then obviously we can graph that. Part of the problem set here, it does say to graph it. We can save that for later. I'll do that in the next problem instead of putting this set notation. So the same thing here. I have negative 4y, or 43 is greater than negative 4y plus 11. So the biggest thing is get rid of 11 to get 32 is greater than negative 4y. Divide both sides by negative 4. Hey, I am dividing by a negative number. So therefore, I will have to switch the inequality. You get y by itself, because negative 4y divided by negative 4 goes away. 32 divided by 4 is a nice number. It becomes negative 8. And so remember, we have our number line. You put negative 8. This one's an open dot. And so 0 is over here. Is 0 bigger than negative 8? Yes, it is. So I'm going to shade that way. Remember, if that wasn't true, I would just shade the other side. Now we start getting into problems where there's a grouping symbol. So now we have to do something. Now you have options. Now I personally like to get rid of those parentheses first. It can be a little bit more work. I'll explain both processes here. So 6 is outside of parentheses. My first inclination would be to distribute. So therefore I get 30z minus 18 is less than or equal to 36z. And now it looks a lot like the problems that we did last time where there's a variable on both sides. And so then I'm going to subtract 30z, and anytime I'm adding or subtracting, I don't have to worry about signs or inequalities. So negative 18 is less than or equal to 6z. I got to get rid of a 6 times z, so I will divide by 6. And since I'm dividing by a positive, I will not change the inequality. The 6's will cancel, leaving me with z. And negative 18 divided by 6 is negative 3. That is one way to do this particular problem. That will work every time you have grouping symbols. Get rid of the grouping symbols, gather up like terms, and solve it. The other option, if you go back up to our original problem, is that you notice that it's 6 times this group. I can actually, if I'm going to grab a different color here, if we can actually say, hey, I'm just going to get that 6 out of here and just divide both sides by 6. Boom. Then you're left with 5z minus 3 equals 36z divided by 6 is 6z. You actually end up with the smaller numbers, which might be easier for some of us. Now, this doesn't always seem to work out nicely. Sometimes you're left with fractions, and if I'm going to be left with fractions because I kind of think ahead, I won't do it. I'll do the blue stuff here and distribute through and gather up terms. I'd rather end up with a fraction at the very end than end up with a fraction in my work, because I don't want to get like common denominators and all of that stuff. If I can work with nice whole numbers, I will. So 2 different options, you go for it. Just like here, I'm not going to actually do this problem. I think it's self-explanatory, but I would distribute and distribute first. The inequality symbol in the middle will stay exactly the same. Therefore, you will have exactly the same equation all spread out, gather like terms like you did the first one. These 2 examples are going to say an empty set or an all real numbers, which means infinite amount of solutions or no solutions. And so this is kind of interesting. So we're actually going to do these. And so I think we have to distribute here. So I didn't do anything with 18. Minus 24c. And then minus 12, because remember it's a negative 3 times a positive 4, is less than or equal to negative 6 times 4 is negative 24c. And then negative negative makes a positive. If I gather like terms here, I think we can see that you end up with negative 24c plus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 24c plus 6. Oh, geez. That's interesting. Wait, let's just gather up like terms. Let's add 24c to both sides. And those go away. So I get 6 is greater than or equal to 6. Wait, when does that ever happen? When is 6 greater than or equal to 6? And you're going to say all the time. So it's all real numbers. So any number I put in for C will make this problem true. That is all real numbers. The next one probably is not going to be. So look at this, 46, really nice. I don't have to do anything on the left-hand side. Over here, I better distribute. So 8m minus 8m minus 20. Wait, gathering like terms, the 8m's will cancel. 46 is less than or equal to negative 20. Can you ever have a 46 or a positive number be less than a negative? No. So there's no real answer. So there's no solution. We sometimes call that empty set. So therefore you can't do it. So be very careful. If your 2 numbers don't jive up like this, there's no solution to that. If you come over here and you say, wait a minute, this seems like it should work all the time because there's no variables left. That's number 1. That's an easy one. So if the variables completely cancel away, you got 2 options. It's either going to be all real solutions or it's just not going to work. So be watchful for that. So, homework. I would like you guys to do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 problems. Make sure to watch for empty sets and all real solutions. Make sure that you are graphing them and doing set notation.